Welcome once again to the Dynasty Pulse right here on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and on the Undroppables and on terrestrial radio 101.5 talking West Tennessee on your friendly dial. This is the finest collection of knowers of ball in the industry. There's stiff competition out there, but we're stiffer. It's been a long week, but we're rejuvenized, so lock in. We're about to wild out and hammer down to get you bricked up. I'm Biggs, and with me in the Hall of Ball Knowledge, my clowns from the same circus. We got Coach, we got Chev, we got Greinberg, and we got a special guest. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Bricked up.
Phantasmal.
Well, let's get our
But before we get to our guest, let's just break it down for a minute.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you guys. We have a very special guest tonight. As you all know, this show started off as just Mike and I, as the Dynasty Pulse on the Fantasy Football Plus Network. That Fantasy Football Plus Network was started by our guest, the venerable, the illustrious Bradley Stalder. We're beyond excited to welcome him. He's the news desk director at PlayerProfiler. He's the host of Stack Hunters and Man vs. Machine, and one of the most respected analysts in the fantasy football space. He's known for his data-driven insights and elite projection accuracy. Bradley has delivered 7 top 15 weekly finishes in the Fantasy Pros accuracy rankings, including #1 overall in Week 17 of 2021. Beyond the accolades and sharp analysis, he has had a profound impact on all of us personally. He helped all 5 of us get our start in this industry, played a huge role in launching the Dynasty Pulse. His mentorship, support, and belief in developing new voices in the space have made him a true pioneer and someone that we are forever grateful for. We're tapping into his deep well of knowledge tonight to break down offseason developments, value picks, winning strategies for the 2025 season, all with the trademark insight that's made him a fan favorite and a go-to resource across redraft, best ball, and dynasty leagues. Let's welcome to the show, Bradley Stalder.
Yo!
What's up, Bradley?
Y'all bringing tears to my eyes with that intro. Goodness gracious. Holy buckets. The vibes are strong. The vibes are great. I'm so honored to be here with all of you. And, you know, it's beautiful, the things that you have built yourselves. Like, you've said the yes. You've put in the work. You've done all the heavy lifting. And it's just so great to see all of you where you are right now. So, you know, all the glory, you know, given. And it's great to be on here. Thank you for inviting me here on the Dynasty Pulse.
It's like a mama duck swimming with her little ducky chicks. Like, look at them go.
I love it, Bradley. Bradley, thanks for coming on. You know, you've been a huge inspiration. Big said it so well in the intro there, but tell everybody what you're up to right now, what you're doing with Player Profiler, and all the big things you guys have going on there.
Sure, absolutely. The news desk, if you guys haven't checked out playerprofiler.com/news, that's your go-to place for news. We get multiple news items out for you every day. It's quality analysis. We've embedded some videos in there as well to support your analysis. It's a great way also, if you are new to the industry and you want to get your feet wet and build up your skills, both from a content creation standpoint, but also from just comfort in how you speak and articulate your opinions in this space. The Player Profiler News is a great way to get your in there, and Player Profiler overall is you know, a place where many people have grown in this space. So playerprofiler.com/news, check it out, bookmark the site because it's a great site. And I just hopped off Stack Hunters. That's why, you know, running a couple minutes late. Stack Hunters, a best ball podcast. My co-host, Dan Williamson, offers the high stakes insight. And I'm just your normal average projections guy who, you know, likes to argue with Dan, and not so high stakes. I don't know. Like, Dan goes into these like $1,000 entry all the time, these drafts. And I'm like, man, I couldn't do that. Like, but my poor wife, you know, she would have a heart attack just if she saw the amount of money that is going into this. A lot of these are promos. A lot of things, go in that way. And that's why, I'm able to do many of the things in this space is the support from other platforms. But man, oh man, I couldn't invest in that way. The bankroll is just not high enough at this point for Bradley to be doing it. But man versus machine is a different story. For about a year, Ryan Reynolds was my co-host, and now Wyatt has stepped in as my co-host for Man versus Machine, and I'm the machine, right?
Shout out Brian Wilson, former Giants reliever. Rack him. Yeah, I think Bill is the one that I did a versus article with last year. My Lad McConkey versus his Deontay Johnson.
Love it. Ooh. Well, we know how that turned out.
Yes.
Swimmingly. All right, Bradley. Well, it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of this show where we are going to probe our experts. So we're going to get this started. All right, so this week we are shifting our focus to the running back position, the engine of many fantasy lineups and one of the most volatile and challenging spots to evaluate in dynasty formats, from backfield committees to evolving offensive schemes to rookie risers, workload projections, long-term value shifts. We're diving into what matters most. So in this Probe the Expert, we're going to go to the ground game gurus. So whether you're gearing up to make a championship push or building for the future, this segment delivers the strategic edge you need to navigate the ever-changing world of dynasty running backs. So, Coach, what is going on tonight, my man? How you doing, buddy?
How we doing? Coach, question for Bradley. That's what the show sheet says, so I'm here to deliver. Bradley, how you doing? Long time no see. What is the balance between being greedy and being astute when it comes to backfields when drafting? So example being, you grab Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears in a dynasty startup, like somebody might have done in a recent one, as it theoretically, it locks up a backfield, right? Versus you take a stab on Tony Pollard, but venture over to going at Rashad White. Try to have two starting running backs in the event of a Bucky Irving injury. How often do you grab two of a backfield? What is the line between getting immense upside, calculated safety? What's the greed line? And then how may it change and differ between Dynasty and some of our other platforms such as Best Ball or Redraft?
Sure. And I think this is where I think projections come into play. Like, we kind of know how backfields are getting split up. And if you're not sure, that's why it's helpful for you to look at what has historically been the case for running backs. And we've seen running backs like Pollard and Spears. Pollard has been primarily the between the tackles guy, occasionally catching the ball out of the backfield. Spears, more of the third down back. He's not built that way. That's not his profile. And so you have the pedigree of Pollard, you have the draft capital of Spears, but I don't like, in most cases, locking up a backfield for like the bottom 10 type of offenses. Like the pathway for winning for that running back is not high. And even if you get the handcuff, the pathway for that handcuff is what, at best 80%, 90% of what the starter was. And they're probably not going to be able to handle the full workload. Maybe it's 1 week and you just need 1 week to step in. But from a dynasty perspective and a macro perspective, if I'm locking up a backfield, I want it to be number one, a high offense backfield, at least like a top 10, maybe at least a top half offense in the projections. And the other part is clarity of roles. Like right now, Derrick Henry obviously he's an older player in the dynasty streets. You can probably get him, but we know he's a mega producer. Who's the running back two? Well, it's Justice Hill. That's how we've seen it play out. But could it be that Keaton Mitchell takes a step forward? It's possible. It's not without question that he is actually the better like one-to-one handcuff for Derrick Henry? We don't know, though. Or is it Rasheen Ali, another player? That is possible. It's not a 0%. The issue that you have with trying to lock up something like the Baltimore Ravens backfield is you just don't know. Like, you have to have a player stand on a Keaton Mitchell or a Rasheen Ali, or you have to be a Justice Hill believer and then pair him up with Derrick Henry, because you're not going to clutter your roster with 3 Baltimore running backs on the off chance, right? That's why in most cases, give me the Pollard and Rachaad White pairing if I'm like making the coin flip of who am I going after, because the pathway for hitting, like if we're playing the probabilities, Pollard could hit. You could also have Rachaad White hit independent.
Yeah.
Right. But Tazi Spears would be dependent upon a Tony Pollard injury. And then you already have Tony Pollard on the team. So you're already having to move like him off the roster. It's a 1-to-1. So when I'm playing the probabilities, and these are either lower backfields or unclear depth charts, I am taking shots on other teams, allowing the probabilities to fall that way.
Rack him. Chev, what say you?
Well, I don't like hearing that the Titans are a bottom 10 unit. That hurts my heart, even though no matter how true it was in 2024 with the Mayo meme master at the helm. I like the approach. I absolutely love the approach there. My question is, I guess the question would be like, yeah, you're getting you're diversifying your portfolio, the portfolio of this particular team when you're moving from a Tony Pollard to a Rachaad White, because you're not going to be bought into that backfield per se. I think there's some unique scenarios where you can buy into 2 backfields, like San Francisco, which is purely a handcuff play for a guy like Christian McCaffrey, because he gets double-edged tendonitis in both knees and Achilles. And they're going to run the ball until he can't, until his feet fall off or something. And then, like you mentioned, you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's got to be a high output offense. Like, nobody's going to go grab Cam Scatterbo and Tyrone Tracy. Or if you do, like, what are we doing? So yeah, I love the point about the offensive output kind of being the driving force behind whether or not you're going to invest dually in that backfield.
Yeah, agreed.
Hey,
I do love the Keaton Mitchell play, though. I talked about him on our show that we recorded earlier, Greinberg and I, and that he has the opportunity, he has the ability to create a Jahmyr Gibbs type kind of vacuum in which his efficiency is so high that the Ravens, if for some reason he has to step in and have some reps, the Ravens go, okay, we have an absolute baller on our hands, right? We know what we get with Justice Hill. We know what we get with Rasheen Ali, but Keaton Mitchell is special. Watching him squat like 500 pounds, like after removed from knee surgery, like the dude is built different and he's explosive. Although he's still under 200 pounds, he has that Devon A. Chan, Tyjae Spears profile. He's not like a 25 carry a game guy, but his efficiency is so off the charts as far as his fantasy points per touch. He's my play in that backfield, but that's I digress.
Bradley, follow-up question on that. You mentioned if it's not a top half offense, what would be a backfield where you'd be like, yeah, I want to roll with both backs because I'm getting value at the top half?
Yeah, as Chev said, I think San Francisco is the obvious one. That's certainly a play that is very interesting. We've seen Garendo, or even like your 0-0 Patrick Taylor's, get some fantasy points in that type of offense. But another example, and I think y'all will agree with me, is Atlanta. You have Bijan Robinson, who is clearly the number one. He is RB1, RB2, RB3 in Dynasty. I'm not going to haggle with anybody over it, but Tyler Algier, I am okay with rostering Tyler Algier on a Bijan Robinson team because we know what Tyler Algier was able to do before Bijan got there. He was efficient,
Sadly.
over 1,000 yards rushing. He looked great. And it is a 1-to-1 replacement with, yeah, he's not Bijan Robinson, but he's still a top 10, top 12 running back if he gets the opportunity on a weekly basis. So, yeah, like to give another example, I'm good with Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson on the same dynasty team.
One of the worst days of my life. What about Miami? What about Jalen Wright and Devon Achane?
I'm not convinced
No.
Jalen Wright is good.
Same.
I'm not convinced. Like, he could be. I'm just not convinced yet. And Ollie Gordon, this is the lack of clarity of the depth chart. Ollie Gordon is Chuba Hubbard 2.0. Like, he could be good in a couple years.
Oh, he's gonna be.
He could be. He could be. Like, the amount of hedging that you have to make for the players behind Achane is the exact reason why we should not be rostering Achane and another Miami back.
That's fair.
The other part is Alexander Madison is still on this team, and he's a pros pro. He is a Jag. But you know what? He gets the job done. That's the issue with Miami, is that they have 3 running backs behind Achane that in theory could do a job, not Achane's job, but could do a job in that backfield. And that's why I wouldn't have any Miami if I had Achane.
Okay, that's fair.
So it's Achane and Algier is the move to go if you want to go cross.
Yes.
Cross positional, cross team, pollination nation.
Mm.
Double
Love it.
on that. So I guess we'll move to my question now, Bradley. Great to have you here. Love it here. Honestly, we started off on a good note, and let's continue down that path. So I just want to know, for my own personal selfishness, who are some of your biggest positional values based on the price point? Yeah, or you could just give me your guys. If you just want to give me a list of Stalder studs, we'll call it. What's the Stalder stud section? We're calling it right now. Give me your studs, then follow that up. Give me your duds, guys who, because we can't be reasonable on the internet, I will paint it as though you hate them and would never draft them under any circumstances, because context is not important. Go ahead, Bradley. The floor is yours.
I mean, that's the move, right? We can't clip it if there's not a hot take, right? This is it. And I'll start with my biggest value in the Dynasty streets. And I think it's a player that has just been forgotten about so much. This is the RB10 on Keep Trade Cut. He is like, so I like Keep Trade Cut's perspective for the market. Like, I may have my opinions about a player, but at least it gives what the market is saying about a particular player. And this is the RB10 right now, and he's Breece Hall. The pathway for Breece Hall to reclaim top 4, top 5 exists very strongly. And there is no reason that Bucky Irving should be ahead of Breece Hall in Keep Trade Cut. He is extremely talented. He had over 15 fantasy points last year per game. And it was a bad year. It was a bad year on arguably the worst team. Yes, Aaron Rodgers was like the quarterback there, and he played admirably with how bad this team was in the New York Jets. But now you have a reclaimed offense. You have a team that is, they have a plan. You might disagree with the plan with Justin Fields. You might disagree with it. You might think Justin Fields, you might have wide range of opinions about whether Fields is actually good at NFL football. But the Jets are going to plan around him, and that's going to be a lot of fun, seeing Breece Hall and Justin Fields just running the bejeebies out of the ball. So I think this is a player that is extremely mispriced, a good value, and an easy click, not only in the Dynasty streets, but in best ball too. He's going, like I came off of a draft with Fantasy Dog Pound, Fantasy Dog Pound, and Breece Hall went 36th overall. That is generational wealth that is being created in the best ball streets. So yeah, we are here for Breece Hall as getting back into that top 5 conversation. There's no reason that Breece Hall should be behind Omarion Hampton this year in the dynasty streets.
No, Breece Hall is rejuvenized.
So give me I'm not going to give you a laundry list. I'm giving you the value.
The play.
This is the play is Breece Hall.
All right. That's an interesting one. I see a lot of people on the Breece Hall train. I see Chev really excited about it. Big's really excited about it. Are you worried about the upside of them being in scoring positions? The fact that, Braylon Allen came on pretty tight last year, especially in the red zone. Isaiah Davis has also been there. They got a new coordinator as well in the mix here. None of that shocks you or concerns you at all?
No, not at all. The reason why Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen got run was because of how poorly run the Jets were last year. And that's why we need to be back in on Breece Hall. Like, Braylon Allen is a good running back. Isaiah Davis is a good running back. Breece Hall is he was getting comped to Jonathan Taylor coming out of the draft, and he's better than Jonathan Taylor. He's better than Jonathan Taylor. Like, Jonathan Taylor's RB8 right now. What?
The only thing I'm worried about with Breece is stacked boxes, but he can.
Who else is going to catch passes outside of Garrett Wilson in this Jets offense? It's going to be Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and my boy Alan Lazard. Like, that's
Aaron Smith.
Stone Smart. I don't know.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
The path, it is so consolidated in the New York Jets. It's going to be those two guys that the offense, three guys. It's Fields. Fields is going to take the ball out of the hands of Garrett Wilson. Unfortunately, that's why I'm a little bit lower than consensus on Wilson. Fine, whatever. But the reality is you're looking at consolidated touches to three players. It's Fields, who's going to carry the ball, Breece Hall, who's going to carry the ball, and Garrett Wilson with that connection to Fields. So consolidation, Breece Hall, generational talent, generational wealth being generated in the best ball streets.
There it is. Rack him.
I'd much rather have an offensive guy like Bucky, who's going to be in an offense that's going to score a lot more points in 2025 than Breece Hall will. I'm not convinced that the Jets are going to be there. Like, I'd rather have a Bucky Irving. In my opinion, and maybe not in dynasty long term, it's a tough one with the draft capital when you bring that into consideration, obviously. But for this year, I'm gonna be cautious about Breece. I faded him a little bit last year. The injury, obviously, he hasn't shown to be on the field every single down throughout his career, and running backs tend to get banged up, and that's a history thing we have to keep in mind as well. Coach, you look like you have something commenting on that.
So rapid fire, Bradley and the room. I want to be respectful to everybody here, right? So Breece Hall, or you mentioned Bucky Irving. You talked about Bradley. You like him 1-for-1 in a vacuum, better than Jonathan Taylor. JT, RB8, 2, Breece Hall, RB13. Here's the three running backs directly ahead. Bradley, Josh Jacobs, Green Bay Packers.
Breece Hall.
Breece Hall. Okay. Chase Brown.
Breece Hall.
Kyron Williams.
Breece Hall.
Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
See.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there you have it. You have Bucky Irving, who Mike is out on. Biggs, Bucky or Breece?
Breece.
Bateman comment.
Listen, I almost had a heart attack just from the pure joy and elation when he said Breece Hall. I blacked out for a second. I came back. We were still doing the show. Me and Bradley were riding majestic steeds into the mists of Avalon, and they were both named. One was named Breece. The other one was named Hall. So I'm all in. I love this. I love it here.
Oh, there you have it.
You have a follow-up there, Chev?
Yeah, I wanted to point out the fact that the Jets the last 2 years have been 30th in team run plays per game. And then last year they got even worse and were 32nd in team run plays per game. We know Aaron Glenn is going to come in and establish it. So we can only go up from here.
Like 30-second bad?
3 carries. Say what?
Is 30-second bad?
32nd. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. So if you took,
I don't know. Ask Derek Carr. Derek
Carr's math is something that I couldn't be less interested in if I was in like a jigsaw trap and like Derek Carr had to do some math to get me out. I would be like, just saw off whatever it is that you're going to take from me so that I don't have to listen to this anymore. But yeah, 32nd, bad. Okay. 31st or 30th, bad. Brees Hall.
Oh, now you're talking Raiders.
Up. Yes.
Stock up for Brees. All right. You know what is the stock up? Is a Fantasy Sports Advice Network community, and we're going to hear from our sponsor right now.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Now, you, dear viewer, are asking yourself, why should I do that? I'll tell you. With a pro account, you get access to some of the best creators in the industry. You also get a link. It's down. Wrong one. We need a producer. FSAN shop. There is some incredible merch, including Dynasty Pulse merch, Fantasy Forecast merch, FSAN merch, team-related merch, fantasy-related merch. It's all there. But more than that, coming up in August and September, we will be having the drafts for our jersey leagues available to pro members. You can get into a league. The jersey of your choice is up for grabs, whoever takes down that league. We have fantastic ones last year. We had Deebo Samuel League. We had Josh Allen League. We had Tyreek Hill League. And we're going to have even more this year. As FSAN grows, the jersey leagues get bigger and the jerseys get better. And you're going to want to have your pro membership ready so that you can get in on those. Also, get your merch at FSAN shop. And now, back to Grindberg.
All right, Bradley, I got a question for you here. So, every year after rookie drafts, there's a lot of buzz about depth of the incoming rookie class, and 2025 is no exception. It's actually pretty loaded this year. Last season, though, it was the veterans like Barkley and Mixon and Henry who made the biggest impact, often thriving in new situations. Now, in 2025, you got players like CMC and Pollard and Alvin Kamara have they dodged major injury setbacks and bullets, and they prove they still have some elite upside headed into 2025. How do you balance the hype around this deep rookie class and, the proven production and durability of these veterans? Are dynasty managers better off betting on youth, experience, or a strategic mix? And how do you navigate your roster construction with such a clear divide between the rising rookies and these established backs?
That's a great question. Lots of questions, Grindberg. I'm going to actually work backwards in how you ask them. My philosophy for roster construction in most dynasty leagues is to draft rookie running backs and to trade for veteran running backs. So when I am in the rookie drafts, unless there is an absolute stud of a wide receiver that's coming out, like generational talent, we're talking Jamar Chase, we're talking, Justin Jefferson, we're talking those levels of players that you can't pass up. The next move is to just draft the running backs. This is the window. This is the window where you're going to get the most tread for your tires in the running back room. The chance that they quote unquote fall off doesn't exist. They haven't hit the age curve. They haven't hit the age cliff. Teams are incentivized to use the running backs early in their career. And so draft the rookie running backs in round 2, in round 3, even in late round 1. Worst case scenario, it turns into a Roshan Johnson situation in your 1-2 turns from a couple years ago where, he hasn't really hit, but he's still alive. He's still alive. Whereas you look at, the 1-2 turn from a few years ago, and it was Henry Ruggs. It was Jalen Reagor. The wide receivers bust I see Chev just slayed right now. And that's the whole point, is these running back, you target running backs in your rookie drafts. If you want veterans, trade for them later, because one of the stickiest things year to year is a running back, especially starting running backs, rush share. Like, they're going to continue to be used in a particular role year to year, but it takes time for the coaches to be comfortable using them in a particular way. Occasionally, you have your exceptions every year, but now we are more comfortable with Bucky Irving handling 50+% of the rushes. Like, we're comfortable with that. And that we were able to get him in round 3 of rookie drafts last year. And you're going to miss, you're going to hit, but the chances that a wide receiver in round 3 hits at any time is almost zero. Not the case for these running backs in round 3. They might hit in 2 years. They might hit in a year. They might hit in 3 years. We might be dealing with a Chuba Hubbard scenario, right? You just don't know. So like last year, I poured resources into Blake Corum, not just because I'm a Blake Corum guy, but also because you want these running backs. So draft these running backs, hold on to them, and allow them to grow. You got to give them a little time. Time takes time, you know. It's a Ben Folds song, right? Time takes time. And that's what these running backs are. If you want to target for your championship run, a Derrick Henry, James Conner, like Tony Pollard and Alvin Kamara, go for it. You can trade for them. That's fine. But draft the rookie running backs in the dynasty startups, and you trade for the veterans later, maybe throughout the season, because the veterans aren't going to really lose their rush share. You're just going to continue to get clarity. And especially if these rookie running backs haven't, usurped them at all. So that's how I'm attacking it. In terms of the veterans that stayed healthy, that just happened. That just happens sometimes, and I think it was just the right side of the injury variance for many of the veteran running backs last year.
Well, I'm supposed to comment here, and I'm kind of upset at Mike because I had my question in before he did, and his question is so highly related and correlated to mine. It kind of takes a little bit of the wind out of my sails. So I'm just going to, instead of commenting, I'm going to roll into it and then comment. How have the recent performances of Barkley, Henry, Connor, Jones, etc., shifted the idea of the RB age wall? Have we entered an era where we'll be seeing older running backs viable longer and still worth the draft capital in startups or late season trades? Or are we wanting to hold fast to the 3-year window and 28-year-old age cliff traditions where you only hold on to a running back for 3 years, 3 seasons, and then you get rid of them? Some of the things in your previous answer that you were talking about, you brought up Roschon Johnson. I'm going to throw Kendre Miller into that mix. These guys are entering their 3rd years. They don't seem to have the RB1 spot locked down, which we invested the draft capital in our rookie drafts with, but we're still waiting on them. It took Raheem Mostert a long time to hit. It took Rashad Penny a long time to hit, etc. So those things happen. But from your previous answer, it sounds like it might be sound strategy if you are in an established dynasty league to, yes, use your rookie draft to load up on all of those rookie running backs. But in a startup draft, you still need to kind of like, you're not going to be in a position where later in the season on a championship run, if you passed on all of those veteran running backs, you're going to be in a position to be able to move some of the young ones to get the scorers. So if you could kind of like break down the age curve and then also the difference in an established dynasty league versus a startup league.
Sure. I'll hit on the age curve, and it's an age curve. I think Fantasy Manager, there's a book that Matt Kelly wrote called The Dynasty Dominator Reloaded. And inside there is literally an age curve. And that tracks, like, that shows, where players typically like fall off. So it looks something like this. It looks like, I got to center it. It looks like this, right? But pretty much
Bradley, for a hot second, I thought you were just going to be like, here's the Bible.
Here's the Bible. but many people think that it's just like, instead of a curve, it's just a cliff. Like, it just is a zero. And that's not true. And I think it's even more untrue right now because of how NFL teams are handling backfields.
Right.
It is extremely rare for a team to give a running back more than 65% of the rushes in an offense. In fact, there was only one, maybe two running backs all last year who had above that threshold, and that was Kyron Williams. He was 70% last year. There were 6 running backs who had 60% or more. So in seeing how NFL teams are divvying up the rush share, not only to other running backs, but also pulling rushes out of the running back room and putting it in the quarterback room. We've seen an increase in mobile quarterbacks, the Drake Mays of the world, the Justin Fields of the world, the Jalen Hurts of the world, the Josh Allen. I can keep going. They pull rushes out of the running back room, which slowly and more incrementally allow that curve to extend just a little bit further. So I'm okay with that, with going after these older running backs, especially if you view I want to win year 1 or year 2. You always want to win, but this allows you to attack players that have proven rush share and opportunity in their respective team. You have Barkley, you have Henry, Connor, even Aaron Jones is a 50+% rush share type of guy. And I like JP Mason as much as the next guy, but it's still Jones as the running back 1 there. So yeah, give me the guys who have shown that they've spiked. All they need is one game of opportunity in the right environment, in the right offensive environment. Boom. Yeah, we're here for that.
And that kind of mitigates the total scoring at the running back position, since we have fewer 250 to 350 carry guys. We have smaller snap shares or smaller touch shares for the running back position. It brings the overall total points that you're getting out of your RB1 and 2 back down, but they are still outscoring the guys behind them.
Right.
Awesome.
Hey, and great point. Biggs, you have talked about it before. It's okay to go and win your league in year 1. And I was juxtaposed with that in the Dynasty startup that we had going on. Barkley was on the board, Hampton was on the board, and I was in the middle of the round, and my heart wanted the youth of Marion, but then I was like, oh, I kind of like that experience. Like the guy in Just for Men, where it's like a little bit of gray. It's like, oh, he's got some wisdom, but he has some youth. I like his energy. And I got that combination, like the salt and pepper combination of the Saquon Barkley. I went for Barkley because I was like, hey, he's going to get got. And then came back around, fortunately enough. Granted, we have different positional values for 1.75 tight end premium, quarterback. It's the Grindberg Invitational. What are we doing here? This is very, sharps. And Hampton came back to me. So it's just funny enough. You're put in that position where you want the youth. But to your point, Najee Harris could really be a thorn in the side of Marion Hampton in year 1. 4 straight years, 17 games played. Najee Harris just 4 yards per carry, consistent, and he's going to fall in the end zone more than we like. And not saying to be out on Marion Hampton, but to your point, Bradley, it's definitely something that you're trying to push-pull, that managing between when you can get a guy. If you don't get him in the startup, Biggs, good luck trying to trade for him and acquire for them while they're hammering for the other people in your league.
Death, taxes, and Najee Harris. Yeah, and I unfortunately you weren't able to grab Will Shipley in that league. As we all know, Jahmyr Gibbs without the draft capital.
Oh, well, I was able to get Tyler Algier. I was able to get Tyler Algier. But hey,
Chev is heading an aneurysm over there, guys.
Hey, Chev,
if you do this one more time on camera, I am going to rip my beard out on camera.
Hey, Chev, what player did you get that Biggs really wanted? What's his name?
Len Larison.
Yep.
I didn't get sniped in that draft at all. So
no, I just took the number one FCS running back in the history of mankind in the 20th round.
See, when Chev made that pick, I had a come to Jesus moment with myself and did not allow myself to become upset by it. What really it made me do was kind of reflect on the fact that, you know what, this guy is getting steam and he's getting drafted rounds and rounds ahead of where he should be going. And
Call me the Cleveland Steamer, Biggs.
Cleveland, yeah, he's getting Cleveland steam, baby.
And that's because of me, and I'm proud of that.
There you go. I love it, Biggs. That was a great segue into our next segment where, we're going to talk about some tight ends here, and we're each going to identify a player. Last couple of weeks ago, we had Andrew Cooper on, and he kicked off the conversation in the tight ends, rising and falling dynasty values. Now we're going to take a broader look at that position, one of the shallowest and most frustrating spots in fantasy, but the potential on the verge of a major shakeup this year, especially with this tight end class. So we're all going to pick a guy that maybe is in flux, and we're going to talk about them. So Bradley, who's the tight end that you want to talk about today?
Yeah, I'm here for Isaiah Likely. Like, Isaiah Likely is the truth. Likely is not a small sample producer. Let's just put that to rest. Likely was a top 2 tight end in PFF receiving grade in both of his final 2 seasons in college. This was a guy who crushed when he was in college. He was very, very good. And look, when Mandrews has been out, he's almost always produced mega. And even sometimes when he's not out, when Mandrews was recovering last year, if you forget, for the people at home, Mark Andrews, he was in a car accident about a little bit before the start of the season. And if I was in a car accident, I'd be shaken up. I'd be thinking about my mortality. I'd be thinking about life. I'd be thinking about my family. If this is the human response, things are bigger than football. And I'm not practicing. I'm shaken up. Any hit that I take is massive. Look, we didn't even talk about what injuries he might have suffered that were not reported during that accident. It took him a long time. He was not playing all the snaps last year. He was getting a lot of touchdowns, but he's part of that red zone usage. Mandrews was kind of on the block this offseason in the trade block. Nothing's materialized yet, but Likely is objectively very good at football. And he's been good for a long time. He's just been behind Mark Andrews. And now we've seen it time and again. We know that tight ends take a while to mature. We've already been given the crystal ball of what Isaiah Likely can be. Isaiah Likely easily over Kyle Pitts in Dynasty. That should not be a hard or difficult take, even though he's behind Andrews. And so give me Isaiah Likely as the guy you want to be targeting right now before Mark Andrews moves on.
Shout out to the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
Yes. So Isaiah Lissan Al-Gaib is a beautiful selection here. I personally like to call him what the Germans call him, La Verdad. That's German for truth. So I love Isaiah Likely. I think that a breakout is coming and it is imminent. And so, you do have Mark Andrews there still. Eric DeCosta, the Ravens GM, is playing coy about his future. He's the all-time touchdown receptions leader in the history of the franchise. Blah, 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 blah. You put that Isaiah Likely tape on, and it's gonna hit like 80s Mike Tyson. You start watching that, it's gonna be real hard. And now you've got Jim Harbaugh, which, hey, shout out to you again, Bradley. You gave me the opportunity to write about an Isaiah Likely breakout going into the 2024 season. And now you've got the expectations of Jim Harbaugh saying that he thinks that, John, not khakis, normal guy, 60 years old, doing pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, no big deal, just gripping it and ripping it in the weight room. This guy who clearly has a handle on what it's like to be the man, He's telling you, hey, Isaiah Likely, future All-Pro, faded at your own risk. His own coach is telling you he's got a hand in it. So, yeah, I'm all bought into the Isaiah Likely breakout. Love or Dodd for those of you. For those of you, shout out to Deutschland.
Love it. Okay, Chef, who's your guy, man?
Oh, I'm gonna stay on the eastern side of the United States, more central, if you will. And I'm going to go with Chigozium Okonkwo. Listen, 97th percentile or 99th percentile, 40 time, 4.52. Hey, we saw him take it to the crib from 70. That was with the Mayo Meme Master, okay? That was with the Mayo Meme Master throwing. Now we've got War Daddy Ward in there. So let's not stand on ceremony here. We like tight ends. Well, first of all, we love tight ends, National Tight Ends Day or not. So we love tight ends. We also like tight ends that can be the number 2 target, consolidated target in an offense. That is what Chigozium Okonkwo, that's what he has in front of him. There's no real threats. You've got the ghost of Tyler Lockett. You've got Calvin Ridley, who's going to be elite separator number 1. This year's Terry McLaurin. You heard it from Coach 2 months ago.
Yes.
Here on From the Forum 2 months ago, he said this. So now let's not get into nonsense about that. But yes, Chigozium Okonkwo could very easily be the number 2 target in this offense. And that to me signals that he's going to break out. He's also in a contract year. I think that he has the talent and the opportunity to get paid here. So that's my guy.
Bradley, you got anything to comment about that?
Yeah, let's take a deeper dive just for a hot second, just one hot second on Chig Okonkwo. How many other tight ends have at least 70 targets over the last 2 seasons? Not too many. Chig Okonkwo has done it both seasons, 70 targets. We're talking Kelsey, we're talking Mandrews, we're talking the elites. We're also talking Tyler Conklin for what it's worth. But Chig Okonkwo is, you get the quarterback upgrade, you get the rising tide lifts all boats scenario. And this is a player that in his rookie year, like everyone was hyped about Chig Okonkwo coming out of rookie year. His yards per route run were like number 1 and his PFF grade was amazing. Yards per reception, 14.1. Now you have Cam Ward who can air it out a little bit more. We know what Will Levis is, and we're here for Chig Okonkwo breakout year 4.
Now you say that, but what I hear is Titans in the playoffs.
Look,
I heard that too, but also
I did not hear that whatsoever.
I've been licking poisonous frogs for the last 2 days. So
I was going to say something along those lines there. All right.
Mike, who's your guy?
My guy is Mason Taylor, and I think he's stepping into a prime opportunity to lead the Jets tight end group in 2025. 42nd overall. That's great draft capital, and he's joining an offense that really hasn't supported many fantasy relevant pass catchers recently, but Ty Conklin is gone, and he's got little competition at tight end or even really at wide receiver beyond Garrett Wilson. Taylor could very well be the second in team in receptions this year as a rookie. We know in college he was great. He commanded a 32% deep pass target share, 96 percentile separation rate, showing he knows how to separate in space, and a new coordinator who helped develop stars like TJ Hawkinson and Sam Laporta. He's likely to run a tight end friendly offense. I think that Taylor is a sleeper with real upside, and he comes into tight end group that is, got a lot of space to move up here. So I really liked Mason Taylor this year.
Hell yeah.
We're here for that because look, I love Alan Lazard. But someone has gotta be catching passes outside of Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. So Mason Taylor, he steps into that tight end 1 role. He got the draft capital you wanted to see, and there's going to be opportunity right away. So Grindberg, I think that's a good call.
I agree. We want guys that are going to be, the second passing option in their offense, especially the tight end position. It is a dice roll as a rookie, but that's a role I'm willing to make. My guy is the one guy that you left out of your over 70 targets the last couple seasons, and that's Jonnu Smith from Miami. He had 111 targets and 88 catches last year. It was obvious. We could see the talent emerge in Tennessee. He got stuck in a tandem in Tennessee, and then another one in Atlanta with Hunter Henry, and then, in New England with Hunter Henry, then in another one with Kyle Pitts in Atlanta. Finally, he got an opportunity to be the go-to guy in that Miami offense. He absolutely showed out as tight end 4, and people are still sleeping on him. All these trade rumors that are swirling about. He's had eight touchdowns twice in his career, including last year. He's going to be able to do it again. A fully healthy, year removed from concussions, Tua Tagovailoa. Everything is looking up for Jonnu Smith. And then guess what? Guess what if he gets traded? He's only going to get traded to a team that is looking to have a premier number 1 target tight end, and he's going to slide right in. Jonnu Smith, my favorite tight end right now. Non-Brock Bowers edition.
Non-Brock Bowers. Bradley, what do you guys say about that? Do you like Jonnu this year?
If he goes to the Steelers, I absolutely hate it.
Yes.
No.
Pat Freiermuth is a dude. Pat Freiermuth is a dude. So learning a new offense, okay, maybe it's not so new with Arthur Smith. Okay. But it's George Pickens is gone. It's just DK Metcalf there. I don't think they'll run the 2 tight end offense from a passing perspective. Yeah, would they do it with the rushing? Sure. If he stays on Miami, I think that's the pathway for him to continue to be that guy. But if he gets traded to Pittsburgh,
he's dead.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin shade. I don't know if that stands here.
All right, Coach. Round off the show with your guy, my man.
Hey, and I just want to commend. We've had just elite car accident analysis. And I don't know if anybody has realized, but we have had some elite. So next time we do quarterbacks, I'll have to ask you about Andy Dalton. So my guy is Michael Mayer getting traded when everyone expects it to be Kyle Pitts, Jonnu Smith, Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews. They're in the forefront. And there's that hey, the most we expect, the least we expect, and what's the middle? I think in the middle could be somebody like Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer could absolutely start for probably half the teams in the league, at least 10 of them. It's just a matter of opportunity, getting in the right spot. We had last year, he was due to ascend. I had him really high in the rankings. And then, of course, Brock Bowers torched that. So my appeal would just be somebody like Michael Mayer is very cheap and just very attainable, sly under the radar, and acquisition cost very subtle to get on your team and your roster before he appears elsewhere. Bradley, what do you think of the probability of Michael Mayer getting traded?
I've been waiting since March for a Michael Mayer trade. The memes have been flowing. The skeletons have been hanging out. As a Notre Dame, you're speaking my language as a Notre Dame guy. Michael Mayer, free Michael Mayer. Let's all pound the table. Free Michael Mayer. Free Michael
Mayer.
There we go.
Michael Mayer. He's not going anywhere.
No.
Oh, Bradley, man, thank you so much for joining us on the Dynasty Pulse. Man, I can't even thank you enough for everything you have done for me personally in my career as a content creator. I wouldn't be here without you. I sent you a long email before, but I meant every word of that. And I really, really do appreciate everything you've done for me personally and for this show. So thank you so much. Tell everybody what you're doing right now at Player Profiler and everything you got on the cusp for 2025.
Yeah, we'll be doing rankings. Player Profiler do the projections there along with Evan and a few others and the team. PlayerProfiler.com/news. Stack Hunters, man versus machine. The news desk. It's great, guys. Thanks for having me on. Till next time.
It's been awesome. Biggs, do it, buddy.
Yeah, if you haven't, check out my Unhinged show on the Undroppables. Yesterday, I made Michael Mayer my number 1 tight end handcuff to own. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Go to FSAN.com to get your merch and get signed up with a pro membership. Also, go to fastdraft.app and start drafting faster. And we will see you all next week. We hope you win.
Hope you win.